Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Help Is Here podcast, brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. Today I'm going to be talking about two different stories, one when I was in the porn addiction and one now I'm out of it. So let's go back in time a little bit and we'll get into how I've actually really changed my brain. Like I've rewired my brain to the point where sexual content doesn't even faze me. I just don't care about it. It's not this scary thing anymore. But in the past, I remember if I looked at a thing slightly sexual, I would feel completely out of control. And the thought patterns I had would be things like, right, now I've already looked, I may as well continue. Or things like, I need to release now. Or this urge is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and it's never going to go away unless I give in and actually go ahead and masturbate and watch the porn and have an orgasm, right? So I remember like one time I was out with my mates, and in fact was at my mate's house. We weren't out together, but yeah, it was at my mate's house. Don't know what possessed us, but we were quite young. And yeah, we ended up looking at a bit of porn for like a couple of minutes. We were just like quite giddy. We'd had a few drinks, and for whatever reason, we're looking at porn, which is pretty weird because, you know, my mates are pretty ordinary, normal guys, but for whatever reason, we was looking at this porn, which is very unusual for us, and we're all a bit like, what are we doing here, right? It wasn't in like a sexual way or anything like that, as, I mean, that sounds pretty weird. How can you watch porn in a non-sexual way? But yeah, we were just like standing up looking at this video for some reason. But I remember feeling totally out of control. Like I was in the porn addiction at that point in time. So I literally went off on my own into like the bathroom and went and like watched more porn on my own and masturbated, like even though I was having like pre-drinks with my friends. Like what on earth, you know, like it's crazy. I mean, it was weird enough that we were watching porn. Like, I don't know why we really did that. It was pretty weird. But the fact that I went off and actually like masturbated, like my two mates, like they just weren't fazed by it at all. They carried on with their day. So yeah, you know, I was completely out of control back then. And there was other circumstances where I'd end up, you know, feeling compelled, driven, obsessed by the desire to watch porn. Like I had the compulsive desire and I did feel out of control. But fast forward to now. So, you know, I've been rewiring my brain actively, you know, very proactively for quite a long time now, over a year, you know, going through the urges, facing them one by one, moment by moment, thinking through the choice, and using a very specific 5-fact script and my very thorough education on the addicted part of the mind to actually enable me to make choices I'm proud of, moment by moment, right? And over the weekend, I met up with a couple of friends, Kat and Tim. So I met these friends at Samaritans. I was actually at the Samaritans conference a few years back. Samaritans is a charity here in the UK where we listen to people who often are having thoughts around suicidal thoughts, you know, suicidal ideation. So really good, wholesome people. It's a volunteering charity, so you know you're not getting paid or anything. So they'd volunteered their time, and so had I. I'd signed up about 2.5 years ago, and I was volunteering for Samaritans for a number of years, and we met together. We became friends at this Samaritans conference, and we've been friends ever since. Now Tim works in animation. He works in TV and animation, and he developed a hobby, you know, a fun hobby, sort of spontaneous thing that he wanted to start doing, where he illustrates women who are posing naked, you know, sort of life drawing kind of sort of activity. But, you know, he'd have people send him photos of themselves on Instagram, and he's drawing them like sort of cartoony kind of illustrations, right? So he's really excited about this hobby. He's been doing it like all year, multiple times a week, and we're just catching up and talking about life and stuff over the weekend. And he was like, "Oh, do you want to see?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? You know, I'll have a look." So he shows me like all these kind of cartoon, half-naked women, and then one of them had actually sent him like a photo of like some nudes and stuff because she was like an OnlyFans model. And so he clicked into the profile and he was like, yeah, this is her, like, look how many followers she's got. Like, she got in touch, she wanted me to draw her. So I see this profile, right? And honestly, it was probably the first time in my life. It was the first time in my life that I'd seen something sexual and I just didn't care. Like, I didn't have that desire. Like, I didn't feel overwhelmed by it. I didn't feel compelled, driven, obsessed. I wasn't continuing to think about it later on in the day, whereas like I know for a fact in the past I would have felt so overwhelmed, so anxious. Like I would have been like, oh my God, like I've looked at something sexual, like no, like God, like I need to go release now. Like I've already messed up, I've relapsed. Like was it a relapse? Was it not a relapse? And all these questions and all of this bullshit. Whereas this time, like I literally was there with him. He's holding his phone. He's just showed me this photo. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And then, we carry on having a conversation about other random shit. And that's that. It's done. It's sorted. And I'm just like, whoa, like this was so cool. Like it was the first time in my life I actually just felt free from that desire that I used to always have. And this is just through thinking through my choice, probably thousands of times, getting the reps in. The repetitive use of my 5-track script has enabled me to literally change how my brain works to the point where I'm not even fazed by it anymore. And I still use that script to this day from time to time, usually for other compulsive behaviours which I want to deal with effectively, and things which seem completely insignificant, like maybe eating more food than necessary, or going on YouTube or social media or any of these things, or even Netflix, and just living this life completely beyond compulsion is what I would call it, is where every single moment of your day, you're feeling in charge of yourself, you're feeling in control, you're feeling empowered, and you're making choices you're proud of. This is possible. Literally 0 time wasted. And that's the only reason I was able to look at that photo and just not give a shit. Is honestly because I've put the reps in, because I've been proactively attacking and dealing with the addicted part of the mind in the correct way, time and time again for many months now. So it was cool. It was an interesting experience. I didn't walk away from that and go and think about it loads, or even really consider it until I decided, this morning, right, what should we talk about today on the podcast? What can I talk about which could maybe help people see what is possible for themselves in the future? And here's the key thing about all of this. I was able to get to this position by accepting the reality of my addiction, accepting that I did want to watch porn, that I did want to look at sexual content, and think that through many, many times. If I had have done the traditional route, remove the triggers, maybe put the blockers in place, all of those kind of things. If I had have done that, if I had taken that route, the moment my friend said, oh, look at these drawings, and he, kind of proposed, do you want to have a look? I would have been like, no, I can't look at that. Like, if I look at that, I'm going to get out of control. Just imagine how disempowering that is. Imagine living your life never actually feeling control of yourself. And the thing is as well, like, I didn't even like care. I didn't enjoy looking at these like photos or whatever. I was just like, oh, great hobby. Like, you're amazing at drawing. Like, that's all I was thinking about. Is like, this guy has like really got some talent. Like, these illustrations are really great. Like, fair play to you for having this hobby and enjoying it, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I doubt there'll be many times in my life where I'm presented with a situation like this, where there's a circumstance where someone's basically saying, like, look at this. I don't think that's going to come up very often, but it's just the fact that you can be in a position where you can completely handle that with 100% certainty and 0 fear around getting out of control and ending up back at porn, So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And the junky thoughts that could come up, the irrational excuses, justifications and rationalizations that could come up now, having heard this story, is, oh, I can go look at sexual content and that'll be fine because that is possible. Well, let me make this super clear as well. The only way I was able to do that and not get out of control is due to the rewiring process which I've undergone. Actually repetitive use of a script to change how my neural pathways work. That's how I've done that. If I had have been in the same situation maybe 12 months ago, it probably would have been completely different. But I just want to share that it is possible to change the brain due to neuroplasticity. That is 100% possible for you, right? And you don't have to live with an addiction your whole life. But if you're doing the traditional route of the blockers, removing triggers, and you're trying to avoid the desire at all, well, it's going to be very, very hard to ever get to a position where you actually feel truly in control, because you're denying your opportunity to think through the choice when you have the desire. And it's through doing that you actually disconnect addictive neural pathways. So yeah, thanks a lot for listening. Hopefully this helps at all. I'll leave a link in the description to the porn addiction quiz. You can take that if you want to get a score out of 100. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.